Emma Carter did not plan to stop anywhere that evening. The rain pressed hard against her windshield as she left the office, gray clouds folding into the early Seattle night. She told herself she would go straight home, heat up dinner, and answer the polite questions her husband would ask without really listening. That was the plan she repeated in her head while waiting at the traffic light. But when the light turned green, her hands moved on their own. She turned left instead of right. Following a quiet urge she did not want to name, the bar sat on a corner she usually passed without noticing. Warm light spilled through the windows, soft and inviting. Nothing loud or careless. Emma parked and sat in her car for a moment, breathing slowly. She felt tired in a way sleep could not fix. Finally, she stepped out into the rain and walked inside. The room smelled faintly of citrus and wood. Low music played, something calm and familiar. A few people talked quietly at small tables. Emma chose a seat at the bar, setting her bag down. Beside her, keeping her coat on, she did not look around much. She did not want attention. She only wanted a pause from her thoughts. The bartender approached without hurry. He was tall, with steady movements and kind eyes that did not rush to judge. His name tag read, "Lucas. What can I get you?" he asked. "Gin and tonic, Emma," said Light Lime. Lucas nodded and turned away. Emma watched the ice drop into the glass, listened to the sound it made. It felt grounding. When he placed the drink in front of her, he paused for half a second. "Extra ice," he said quietly, "like before." Emma looked up, surprised. "Before? You were here a couple of weeks ago," he said, voice calm. "You sat right here." She shook her head. "I don't think so." Lucas smiled gently. "Gray coat. You said warm drinks made you sleepy. You were quiet but polite." Her breath caught. She remembered now. That night had blurred into so many others, but the details came back all at once. She had come here after an anniversary dinner that felt more like a business meeting than a celebration. She had sat alone, staring at her glass, wondering when. Things had changed. "I didn't think anyone noticed," she said. Lucas shrugged. "Some people pay attention." Emma took a sip. The drink tasted exactly the way she liked it. Cold, clean, familiar. She felt something loosen inside her chest, something she had been holding too tight for too long. She stayed longer than she planned. Lucas checked on her now and then, never too often. Their conversations stayed light. Music, whether the way the city felt heavier in winter. It was easy, and that made it dangerous. Emma laughed more than she expected. When she finally stood to leave, Lucas said, "Good night, Emma." She paused. "I didn't tell you my name." "You paid with a card last time," he said, apologetic. "I hope that's okay." She nodded, unsure why her heart was beating so fast. "Good night, Lucas." At home, Daniel was already asleep on the couch, the television glowing softly. In front of him, Emma turned it off and watched him for a moment. He looked tired, always looked tired lately. She covered him with a blanket and went to bed, staring at the ceiling long after the lights were out. The following week felt longer than usual. Emma found herself thinking about the bar without meaning to. Not about Lucas exactly, she told herself, but about the feeling of being noticed. On Thursday evening, she returned. Lucas smiled when he saw her. Not a big smile, just enough. "Gin and tonic," he said. "Extra ice." "You're going to spoil me," Emma said, sitting down only. "If you let me," he replied. They talked more this time. About favorite books. About cities they missed. Lucas had grown up in Oregon and moved north after deciding he needed a change. Emma spoke about her job in marketing, the deadlines, the meetings, the way time seemed to slip away faster each year. She did not mention her marriage. Lucas did not ask. The bar became a place where time moved differently. Emma did not check her phone as often, did not feel the need to fill every silence. Lucas listened in a way that made her feel like her words mattered. One evening, as rain streaked down the windows, Emma noticed her hands trembling slightly. Lucas noticed too. "Long day?" he asked. She nodded. Long season, he did not press. I get that. She wanted to tell him everything. The quiet dinners, the way Daniel looked past her instead of at her. The loneliness that came even when someone was sitting right beside her. But she kept those words inside. As weeks passed, Emma started choosing her clothes more carefully on. Thursdays, she noticed herself smiling when she thought about the bar. That scared her. She had not felt this way in years. Not excitement exactly, but awareness. As if part of her had been asleep and was slowly waking up at home. Daniel asked how her day was. He kissed her cheek. He meant well. That almost made it worse. One night, Emma stayed until closing. The bar emptied slowly, chairs scraping softly against the floor. Lucas wiped down the counter, humming quietly. You should head out, he said. It's late. I know, she replied, not moving. They stood there, separated by the bar. By rules, neither of them had spoken out loud. Emma felt the weight of a choice she did not know how to make. Lucas, she said, voice low, do you ever feel like you're standing between who you are and who you're supposed to be? He looked at her for a long moment. Yes. A single word held more understanding than a long explanation ever could. Emma stood, picking up her bag. I can't keep coming here. Lucas nodded, accepting it without argument. I understand. She hesitated, then added, but I don't want to be forgotten. He smiled softly. I remember what matters. Emma stepped outside into the cool night air, her heart racing. She did not know if she would return. She did not know what this connection meant or where it could lead. But as she walked to her car, she realized something had already changed. And that realization stayed with her long after the rain washed the streets clean. Emma Carter could not stop thinking about him. The quiet bartender who remembered her drink. The man whose simple kindness had shifted something inside her. Days at work blurred into meetings and emails, but thoughts of Lucas, the way he smiled, the calm in his voice, the gentle attention pulled at her mind. She told herself it was harmless. She only wanted a drink, a pause from the life she had been living. Yet she knew that with each Thursday, each conversation, the line between harmless and complicated became thinner. The next Thursday came faster than she expected. She parked her car under the same awning, her coat buttoned up against the light. Drizzle. She hesitated at the door, heart pounding. This was her routine now. These moments at the bar that felt like a breath of air she had been holding in too long. She walked inside and saw him wiping down the counter. Lucas looked up and smiled, not a big smile, not the kind that demanded attention, but a small one, warm and honest. Gin and tonic. He asked before she could speak, reaching for the bottle. Extra ice, she said, surprised that she already knew the order by heart. He placed it in front of her as if no time had passed since the last week. Emma laughed softly, shaking her head. You're going to get me in trouble, she said. Only if you let me. Lucas replied, gentle, careful, yet somehow daring in his own quiet way. They spoke longer this time. Music, movies, favorite books. Lucas mentioned Portland, his family, how he had moved north to start over. Emma spoke about her job, the deadlines, the small victories, the frustrating clients. She said nothing about Daniel, nothing about the gap in her marriage that had been widening for years. Lucas never asked. He simply listened, attentive and patient. It made Emma feel like someone could finally hear her without judgment, without the faint exhaustion of polite small talk. The bar became more than a place to drink. It became a haven. Emma would come early, leave late, sometimes ordering only water just to stay longer. Each Thursday, she found herself paying closer attention to Lucas, the way his eyes followed her when she laughed. The ease of his gestures, the calm patience he showed to everyone around him. He never crossed lines, never asked personal questions. She was not ready to answer. But there was something unspoken, a tension she could feel. Soft and electric, One rainy evening, the bar was nearly empty. Only a few patrons lingered at small tables, their conversations low and quiet. Emma noticed her hands were trembling slightly as she held her glass. Lucas saw it too. Rough day. He asked, voice calm. Emma shook her head, but then exhaled. Sharply, rough life, maybe, she admitted. He did not press her for details. He simply nodded. You don't have to explain. The words settled over her like a warm blanket. She realized how long it had been since anyone had truly understood or simply accepted her without trying to fix her. She wanted to tell him everything, but she knew she could not yet. Still, the thought alone was comforting, almost dangerous in its intensity. She laughed softly, more freely than she had in months, and Lucas returned the laugh, matching her quietly. Over the weeks, the pattern became almost predictable. Thursday nights, drinks, conversation. The bar became her anchor. She started thinking about Lucas during the day, wondering what he would say if she mentioned a book she had read or a song she had heard. She caught herself smiling at random moments in the office, thinking about the sound of his voice, the subtle attentiveness he offered. And then came the night when she stayed after closing. Chairs stacked, music fading, the bar empty except for them. The quiet between them was weighty but comfortable. Emma looked at him and felt a surge of something she had not named: longing, curiosity, and perhaps even fear. I should go, she said softly, picking up her coat. Lucas leaned on the counter, his distance respectful yet magnetic. You don't have to rush, he said. Emma's hands trembled again. Lucas, do you ever feel like you're standing at the edge of something and you don't know if stepping forward will save you or ruin everything? He met her eyes, steady and understanding. All the time, he replied, quiet but honest. That single moment left Emma breathless. She realized she had been holding herself back, carefully, methodically, in a life that had grown comfortable. But lonely at home, Daniel was kind and polite. He kissed her forehead. He asked about her day. But he did not see her the way Lucas did not really. That awareness, the simple act of being noticed, had become addictive. Emma felt a strange mixture of guilt and longing. She did not want to hurt anyone. She did not want to ruin what little stability remained in her life. And yet, she also could not deny that Thursday nights had awakened something inside her: curiosity, a sense of possibility, a feeling of being seen. The weeks blurred together. Emma returned every Thursday, sometimes earlier, sometimes later. Conversations became deeper. They talked about fears, regrets, small dreams they had tucked away. Lucas had a quiet wisdom, a calm patience, a way of listening that made her feel like she mattered. She felt a flutter in her chest when he laughed softly at something she said. A warmth when his eyes held hers for a second longer than expected. One night after closing, Emma hesitated as she put on her coat. I can't keep coming here, she whispered. Lucas nodded, his expression soft but honest. I understand, he said, and it hurt more than she expected. She paused at the door. But I don't want you to forget me. He smiled faintly. I won't. I remember what matters, he replied. Emma stepped into the night air, the drizzle on her face. She did not know what tomorrow would bring. She did not know if she would return next Thursday, or if this connection, fragile and intense, would fade like so many other fleeting moments in her life. But she knew deep in her heart that something had already changed. Walking to her car, she realized the truth. Some connections cannot be explained. Some feelings cannot be dismissed. They linger, quiet and powerful, shaping the choices she had yet to make. She had stepped into a story that had no clear ending, but she could feel its pull, gentle and unstoppable, guiding her toward a future she could not yet see.